The Council of Apex met only once every solar cycle, and never for trivial matters. Korvac stood at the obsidian table, his scaled hands resting on its surface as he watched the holographic images flicker before him. Around the circular chamber, representatives from 47 worlds waited in silence. Each was the deadliest thing their planet had ever produced. Each had clawed, bitten, or hunted their way to the top of their respective food chains over millions of years of evolution. And each of them had the same question about the humans. "I first saw it 3 months ago," Korvac began, his voice a low rumble that resonated through his chest. He was a Threxian, descended from the great ridge-backed predators of Threx Prime. His ancestors had hunted in packs across crimson deserts, taking down prey 4 times their size. The human delegation arrived on our homeworld for the trade negotiations. Their leader was a female named Lyra. He gestured, and the hologram shifted to show a recording. A human woman stood in a Threxian marketplace surrounded by crowds. She was unremarkable by human standards, average height, dark hair tied back, wearing their standard diplomatic attire. But as Korvac's people moved past her, something strange happened. They moved around her, not with fear, not with deference, with recognition. "Watch their body language," Korvac said. "My people are apex predators. We do not yield ground in crowds. We do not acknowledge potential threats with anything but challenge or dismissal." The council watched as adult Threxians, each capable of rending steel with their claws, gave Lyra space. Children stayed close to their parents. The elderly watched her with knowing eyes. "She did nothing aggressive," Korvac continued. "She smiled. She gestured politely. She never raised her voice. But when you looked at her eyes," he paused, "you saw it." A Velkori representative leaned forward, her multiple eyes blinking in sequence. "We have observed this phenomenon as well. The human merchant ship that docked at Velkor Station last quarter, their security officer had the same effect on our people. Our juveniles, who fear nothing after their 3rd molting, would not approach him. The Scaran Dominion report similar incidents," hissed a Serpentine delegate. "Our hunters who have never fled from battle become cautious around certain humans." Korvac changed the hologram again. Now it showed Lyra in the negotiation chamber, sitting across from his world's chief hunter. The recording zoomed in on her face, specifically her eyes. They were brown, simple human brown, nothing remarkable. No enhanced sensory organs, no predatory slit pupils, no reflective tapetum. Just brown eyes with dilated pupils and a soft, furless face. But there was something in the gaze. "I spent weeks trying to understand it," Korvac said. "I consulted our evolutionary biologists, our xenopsychologists, even our historians. And then I requested access to the human archives." The hologram shifted to display data streams, historical records, evolutionary charts. "Humans are not apex predators in the traditional sense," Korvac explained. "They have no natural weapons. No claws, no fangs, no venom, no armored hide. Their homeworld produced creatures far more physically dangerous than they were. Great-fanged cats, massive pack hunters, reptilian ambush predators. For millions of years, humans were prey." A murmur rippled through the council. "Prey species did not develop that look. But they did something no other prey species has ever done," Korvac continued. "They decided to stop being prey. Not through evolution, through choice. They picked up rocks and bones and turned them into weapons. They learned to throw with accuracy no other species has matched. They learned to track over days and weeks, to chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They learned to coordinate hunts with a sophistication that rivals any pack predator." The hologram showed human evolutionary history. Figures running across vast plains, hunters surrounding a massive beast, groups working together with tools and fire. "They became persistence hunters," Korvac said. "They would wound prey and follow it. For hours, for days. Never letting it rest, never letting it heal, never stopping. They didn't need to be faster or stronger. They just needed to be relentless." He looked around the chamber. "And then they went further. They didn't just hunt the prey animals. They hunted the predators. The great cats that stalked them became fur pelts. The pack hunters became domesticated servants. The apex predators of their world became extinct or endangered, not through competition, but through systematic elimination." The Velkori representative's eyes all focused on the hologram. "They hunted their hunters?" "They didn't just hunt them," Korvac said quietly. "They erased them. The massive, short-faced bears of their northern continents, extinct. The giant lions that could crush bone with their jaws, extinct. The dire wolves, the terror birds, the saber-toothed cats, all extinct. And humans kept the teeth and claws as trophies. He brought up the image of Lyra again, zooming in on her eyes. What we recognize in their eyes is something we've never seen in prey before, Korvac said. It's not the look of something born to hunt. It's the look of something that chose to hunt. Something that was afraid and decided to make everything else afraid instead. Something that was hunted and decided to hunt back. He paused, letting his words settle over the council. Lyra's eyes are soft. She has no nictitating membrane, no enhanced visual processing. But when she looks at you, you see something else. You see the calculation, the assessment, the pattern recognition of a species that survived by reading their predators' movements and turning their own hunting instincts against them. Korvac's claws scraped against the obsidian. We apex predators, we hunt because we are built to hunt, because it is our nature. But humans? They hunt because they choose to, and that makes them something far more dangerous. The hologram now showed dozens of recordings from dozens of worlds, humans moving through crowds of various apex species, the same phenomenon everywhere. That unconscious recognition, that instinctive wariness. What we see in their eyes, Korvac said, is the reflection of every apex predator they ever faced. Every hunter that came for them in the dark. Every creature that made them prey. They looked into our ancestors' eyes for millions of years, learning what that look meant, learning how to survive it. He turned to face the council directly, and then they learned to look back with the same eyes. Not inherited, earned. What we recognize is not predator recognizing predator. It is predator recognizing something that killed predators, something that turned the hunters into the hunted. The chamber fell silent. Finally, the Scaran delegate spoke. What do you propose we do with this information? Korvac looked at Lyra's image one more time, at those simple brown eyes that contained the evolutionary memory of 10,000 hunts, 10,000 desperate survivals, 10,000 victories against creatures that should have won. We remember, he said, that humans are not apex predators despite being physically weak. They are apex predators because they were physically weak. They had to become something worse than predators to survive. He deactivated the hologram. They became hunters of predators, and when they look at us, they see what their ancestors saw. Another apex species, another challenge. Another thing that can be understood, tracked, and if necessary, he paused, defeated. The Council of Apex adjourned in thoughtful silence, each delegate carrying the uncomfortable knowledge that somewhere in their hindbrain, in the ancient survival instincts inherited from millions of years of evolution, they recognized something in human eyes. Not a threat, not a challenger, but something their own ancestors might have fled from, if they had been wise. The thing that decided prey was an unacceptable category, and rewrote the rules of their entire world to prove it.